Happy trails to you. It's great to say hello and to share with you the joy I've come to know.
But I came home one day. I've never said this in my testimony, but I don't want to leave this out because it's on my heart to tell it. Back then, the drugs are different now than it was back then. I came home from school, me and my brother, and my mom was at work, and my dad was in the house. And I look, and he's got the oven on. And he's got these two big things about this big around, about that thick, and they're smooth and brown. And the first thing I thought, I said, Dad, why you got these two big river rocks in the oven? That's what they look like. Well, come to find out, he said, boy, they ain't rocks, that's hash. Well, hash back then is a form of marijuana compressed. And it's, to its purest form, but you can smoke it. It's marijuana, but it's pressed. It's the oil base with the leaf. I had never tried it, didn't even have a chance to try it then. But it started with the marijuana, with my dad selling marijuana. I would steal it from him. I would share it with the younger guys. We smoked during the day, get high. By the time my high wore off, I'd go home. My mom didn't know, my dad didn't know. I would steal it from him. And what you call diet pills or speed back then, we used that. We crushed them up and snorted them, or we just swallowed them, took them for energy. And just one thing led to another between my teenage years, mid-teenage years, to where I would say 18, 19. I always smoked weed. Marijuana is what you want to call it. So when I came an adult and graduated, I started selling the marijuana for my father. Kept it. Smoked every day, shared it every day. I was going on trips with my dad to New York to get it. I had 10 pounds of marijuana in my closet in 1984, 85. We going up to New York, getting pounds of marijuana and thinking nothing of it. Thinking no big deal. But fortunately, it became a big deal. It was something to do. I started making money off of it. I started going on trips. Me and my wife, I was working. I could go anywhere because I had extra money. It made a little money. And at that time, I thought it was good, and cool to do. And to be honest with you, I'm going to tell the truth. It got to where I would sell the weed for my dad, to where I'd keep it around the house and the apartment me and my mom and all lived in. Shoot, I'm just being up front, and my mom's right here. If she knew you, it had to be somebody she truly knew. She gave it a few of them, but not all the time. I did it. But it shows, man, that we think things are okay when it really isn't. Then I got into, somebody introduced me to cocaine, the powder. Actually, the first time I snorted powder cocaine was with a girl and a couple guys that she had stole it from her dad. Now, I don't know if it was cocaine or not because that's what she said it was. But when I really got into the cocaine was with my pastor who I'm with today that changed his life. He's the first one I really, truly started getting high off the cocaine with. And it went from snorting it to where I would snort once, twice a week. I looked forward to getting high off of the cocaine. And not only starting to do cocaine, my brother was here in town, an ex-basketball player, star basketball player. He started sending me, actually when he went to college at Florida State, he got introduced to cocaine down in Florida, which is real popular down there. I mean, you can get it so cheap. You can get the best so cheap down there, and it's plentiful. He sent me 9.5 grams of cocaine through the post office in 1986. Now, you can't do that now because they searching everything. My boss handed me 9.5 grams of cocaine on my job one day. I'm running around the warehouse, snorting cocaine. The cocaine that he sent was actually to make money for him so he could have money at school. And the cocaine was so good, it didn't take me long to sell it. I got rid of it just like that and sent him the money back. Next day, second day air, UPS. He was supposed to send it UPS because I checked all the mail where I worked. And it just started escalating from that. You know, once that happened, and once my brother came home, you know, he got drafted by the NBA, broke his foot, and didn't really get in shape or have time to really heal up to really make the team. And I guess in a sense, that's what he, you know, to keep his name out there, he became a drug dealer as well. But the first person, you know, I was doing cocaine. And I snorted cocaine with my pastor, but my pastor, his cousin was Ralph, which he went out west. He got introduced from the powder to the freebase, which later became crack cocaine. My pastor brought it back to our neighborhood. And that's the first. Now, he was one of the first I snorted with, but he was the first I ever even smoked crack with. Let me tell you, that's a monster. See, the devil will give you things. See, I didn't know God did. I heard about him. I heard of Jesus, but I didn't know him. The devil will give you things like that and set you up to make it look good, but he don't really show you what's behind the scenes of that. And what's behind the scenes, it leads to death, your freedom. You know, I've been around so much of that, man. I know that thing like I got a master's in it, but that's the old me now. But I still know it, you know, and the crack, man, it was just, it's hard to explain that thing, man. It's an enemy. It's bad. It is real bad. It's like when he introduced me, and when the pastor did that, he left and went in the military, so that thing came so bad around here that it was like wildfire. That crack cocaine was the strongest, most popular thing out there. My brother came here, started selling it to where he was probably the biggest crack dealer in our neighborhood. You know, and it's just sad that what I had planned coming out of high school, I could have went to college, but I didn't. Well, thank God the reason I didn't, because I fell in love with this lady here. And, you know, it was a worldly love, but I truly loved her. And I just didn't even go to college. I got me a job, and, you know, and it's just all through the things that we went through, still there. But the crack cocaine, man, it just, when my brother was doing that, and here I am, you know, with him on that and selling it and getting high. You know, I started taking trips with my father selling when he was, you know, getting the marijuana. Then it stopped from going with trips with him with the weed. I started going on trips to New York with my brother, picking up pounds of cocaine. I had about 1.5 pounds of cocaine in my bag on the way back. Now, it ain't even mine. It's my brother's. Now, but I'm bringing it back in my luggage. We fly up, catch the train back. Now, I'm talking about I got a brick this big in my bag. That where I couldn't even break it. As big as I am, I tried to break it over my knee and I couldn't break it. So, to have things like that, man, in your life, you think it's okay, ain't nobody coming, no cops or nothing. And thank God they didn't. But in the end, like I said, behind the scenes, they did come. But the more I got into that cocaine, the more I lost. I mean, I didn't care about much. Me and my wife today, we went together and all, but it just caused so much mess in my life. You know, and to make a long story short, on the crack, man, you know, I was hooked on crack cocaine or used crack cocaine for 26, 27 years. And right now, thank you, Lord, around this time now, about this time now, maybe a week from now, been set free and delivered 4 years. That's the longest I've been without a drug, since the age of 13. But what I'm here to give my testimony, but I'm also to share some things, how to defeat that, and what I see out there when I'm out there ministering, how to defeat and how you can stop this thing. But that mess there put so much hardship on my family and me. Drugs, period. Drugs, period. I mean, that thing is starting to calm down, but it's coming now to these other types of drugs. I experienced so much mess in that, man, selling things, getting rid of things, people threatening me. I mean, it got to a point to where that's all I focused on was getting high. I would go work, but all I focused on was getting high. But what most people don't understand, it's just not in the neighborhood where I came from. It's in everybody's neighborhood. It's in everybody's. And see, we need to be aware of that, and we need to pay attention to all of that. When finally the thing with the crack cocaine, it got so bad where people threatened my life. Me and my wife was just going through some terrible mess. You know, and it just separates a lot of good from you. You know, I've experienced and I've used quite a bit of drugs, not just weed, marijuana. I did crank, I did meth, I did Love Boat, I did heroin. I've tried a lot of those things. Only thing I didn't mess with was prescription drugs, that new stuff, K2, stuff, things like that. But my testimony is to show people where I came from, where I used to be, and now where I'm at. And the only way is Jesus. That's the only way. There's no shortcuts, no in-between, no going around this. Straight forward to Jesus. And thank God, you know, just see where I came from. Church was church. It was just church. 4 or 5 churches in my neighborhood. I never once seen one person come out of that church and make a difference in the community. Decades, I'm 50 years old, decades and decades went by until I seen one. One. And when I seen that one, because I know where they came from, a bad place, just like I was stuck in. And that was my pastor, where I'm at today. When I knew he changed, I knew there was a God. I knew there was a Jesus. That's the only time I really seen him. I really couldn't see his face, but I could see his works in him, through him. And I tell you, man, that saved me from this mess of this drugs. And it's somewhere that you truly don't want to go to. You don't want to go to that. And to tell, you know, families, mothers and fathers, you need to pay attention to your kids. Not here, I mean, at that age. When they can start talking, you need to be really loving and really pay attention to them, because I see a lot of that, man. These kids mimic what they see in the household. If it's not Jesus, you can tell, because you're going to see it through the kids. You're going to see, and like the Bible says, by their fruits, that's how you'll know, by their fruits. You'll see it through the kids. So whatever the kids is around, they're going to mimic that. They're going to copy that. I see a lot of that. Not just on Kelly Street. I see it in all type of neighborhoods. I don't go just in the hood. I go to the country clubs as well. So I mingle because it's not a color issue. It's a blood issue. See, my blood might be my blood, but if they're not covered by the blood, you know, then I have to love them, but I just cannot be around that. I'm talking about family. See, this is my family. That's my family, because my true family, besides my mom, they ain't had no time for me when I was in that mess. They didn't love me when I was in that mess. I was sleeping in cars. Didn't nobody care. My mom moved to Waynesboro. None of my family, none of my aunts, uncles offered me somewhere where I could lay my head, take a shower, nothing like that. But I managed because I knew how. Because, believe it or not, my mom taught me how to survive before I got to know Jesus. Now, that's who taught me. Now I know how to really survive. My needs are met because I trust in him, not man. And he has given me a gift to share my testimony in the word, man. And I just love it. I'm bold with it. People think I get angry, but I'm angry at that. I only got one thing I'm angry at, is that the adversary. That's it. If you recognize him, I rebuke him, and I am headhunting him. I'm cutting his head off because he did not love me. He set me up with a fictitious love that really didn't exist. He just set me up in certain things, but little did I know, I opened up that door, but I didn't see what he had prepared for me. That's what he does. He blows smoke, smoke screens. He sets those up. And when I go out and minister the word, it is, excuse me for jumping here and there, but I guess it's the way the Lord has given it to me. I really had no plan of doing this like this, but I just see so much confusion out in the world, and people want to second guess God and do things for themselves. But I stayed out in that drug scene, crack cocaine, for 26, 27 years. I became the man, not the drug dealer, but I became the man that you knew that if didn't nobody know where no crack cocaine is, if Mario didn't know, it wasn't any. So everybody came to me. There was a whole lot of pressure on me. I became so good at it, I knew how to bring it back, cook it up, and all of this mess, man. I wasn't that great in science in school, but I became a chemist out here. I mean, A+. I could bring that thing back. All I needed was some water and some baking soda and a good eye. That's all you needed to do that. And I'm just thankful for the man of God my pastor is, because when I seen him change, he is the first person I ever seen in my neighborhood change. And I'm not knocking no one. I'm just speaking truth, whether they like it or not. It's just truth. Truth sets you free. When I seen that, I knew it was God. This man would come out and minister in the neighborhood, and people would scatter. They'd be mad or fearful. It's one or the other. I'm not going anywhere. I knew this man. I grew up with this man. We lived across the street from one another. I knew there was a difference. He said he's seen me and another guy going down Kelly Street saving souls. Well, part of his dream was right, because I go up and down Kelly Street doing my best to save souls. And once I did try to fight that, well, I actually seen him, and I didn't really take it. I respected him, but I didn't really take it the way I should have took it at first. I stayed in that thing years after he had told me this. And the more and more I got into it, the worse it got. So next thing you know, I get up one morning after getting high. I told him that I want to go to church. Called him, he said, come to the house. Went to his house, and I started going to church 8.5 years ago. Now, that doesn't mean that I stayed in church. I just started going to church because, mind you of this, going back to the crack cocaine, between that time going to the church, I backslid a few times, and my brother was out here, and he was one of the biggest dealers again. This was his second time out. Having to come home one day after getting high, backsliding. My mom and them were gone. And ain't nothing but the devil. I go in the kitchen because I hadn't probably ate all night. I see this plastic bag on the microwave. Well, I assume there's some chicken. It's a Saturday morning. Mom knew we got some chicken. Stick my hand on it to see if it's still warm, and if not, I was going to put it in the microwave. But when I stuck my hand on the bag, it wasn't chicken. I smoothed the bag down and looked, and it was a $50 bill. I said, nah, I know this ain't right. I'm looking around the house, peeping around, see if my mom and brother, at the house. Nobody's at the house. Evidently, my brother gave my mom some money to put up. Nobody's at the house now. I'm smoking crack now. That's what you need to get it. So when I made sure there wasn't nobody in the house, I opened up the bag, and it was 2 stacks of money like this. 3,000, 3,000. I'm saying to self, I can't take all this now. They're going to know something. So I go in the middle of pull out a couple hundred here and there. My wife actually lives across the street at the time. We wasn't married. Called her and told her, I'm going to bring you some money over here. I'm going to get a place, get some stuff. I'll let you know where I'm at when I get there. It worked out for a minute. Hey, here's the funny thing. I seen getting high on the money I took. I probably took $200, $300, $400 that night, and put the rest of the money up in the house in the cabinet that nobody ever looked in. And was at a hotel, and caller ID can lead you to things back then. Didn't really have a cell phone, and by my wife calling her mom, she had seen that we had called the house from the motel, so the way y'all don't know my mom like I know her, she's coming. Instead of my brother coming, I get a knock on the hotel door. I know you're in there. Give me that money. My wife was my girlfriend who was going to open up the door. I said, don't you open up that door. I ain't got time to face my mom right now. I can't do that. But, and she finally left, and, that night wore off. I couldn't go get no more money, and the next day I come home, and I'm going to come home regardless. I know my mom's going to jump on me. I've had that before, and I pulled up. I guess my brother thought if his car wasn't there, or if it was there, I wasn't going to come home. But what he didn't realize, my brother used to beat me up when I was little. Well, y'all can see now, I'm big brother now, because my brother 5'11", about $1 something. I'm big brother now. He ain't beating me up no more, so what can he do? I mean, he can try to fight me. But, so I came on in the house, and there's my mom sitting there with that look. I was like, Lord, I know I'm going to hear it. I know I'm going to hear it. And I looked to my left, my brother's in the corner, like hiding, but he wasn't hiding, but he was mad. Neither one of them said nothing. And I hate to say this, but when I looked and I seen that, it made me feel kind of bad in a sense, but I was kind of upset because, it's like my mom ain't never heard me say it. It's like she took his side because he was doing so much wrong, even though it might have looked right because he was living a nice life, but it was wrong. And what I basically did was start laughing and went in my room. When they left, guess what? I went and took all the rest of the money. Took it all. And I smoked crack cocaine for about a month, every day straight. To where I was so tired, I wasn't even getting high. But the funny thing is, once that money ran out, I got a cousin selling crack cocaine. He gets locked up. He told me if anything ever happened, check the coffee can. I'm thinking Folgers, Maxwell House, something like that. Now, mind you, it's probably a week or two after I did this. And I happened to go up in the cabinet because he wanted me to watch his house, take his dog out, and he had fish tanks. And he didn't have that. He had one of these international, foreign coffee cans. So I checked that, and I shook it, and coffee don't sound like that banging up against that can. And I opened the can, and there was a rock in there about that big of crack cocaine and bagged up. Now, mind you, I just spent almost $6,000 on crack, smoking every day. Now I got about 2-3 ounces of crack that I ain't even got paid for. I was wore out. Thank God that I didn't die. For about a month and a half, 2 months, I smoked crack cocaine, man. And I just wore me out. And I was tired. So Still today, I ain't even told my cousin. He don't even know that. He don't even know I got it. For real. Because there's nothing to talk about. I just shared this as my testimony. But after doing that, you know, I cleansed myself. I went back to church. Got straight for a while. Backslid again. Well, my third time. Before then, me and my wife got married. And we were good. After we got married and got straight, you know, for months we didn't do anything. Got married. We were good. First time I ever got my own place at the age of 45 years old. And it was good for a while. A little, if you know, then you get off the word. You get to thinking, the devil gets you thinking the word. And really wasn't the devil. It's what I was thinking. He just put that thought there, but see, I can overcome that thought by casting it down. And me and my wife tried it then, but you know, the times that I backslid, I would leave the church, but this third time, then when we got married, I stayed committed to the church, and I believe that's what saved me. Just keep fighting and fighting. So I was still getting high, but being committed to the church. And I helped this sister move one day. Even though I was getting high, I was still going out ministering the word. I was still sharing the word. But I was helping this sister move one day. And me and the pastor was ministering to this guy. Like I said, even though I knew I was still getting high, I'm still trying to help someone because it helps me to fight as well when I do that. I mean, some people might think that's crazy. Here, you still getting high, you ministering the word. But still, it helped me in a sense to where if I'm doing this, I got to look at myself and say, why am I doing this when I'm trying to help somebody? So the more I did that, it kind of took that from me. And I didn't focus on it as much. So this guy we were trying to help, he was facing 50 years, trying to keep him from it. And one day I went to go borrow a dolly to move some furniture where I was helping this lady move from the church. And I went to a friend of mine and, you know, asked her to borrow this dolly. And when he told me I could borrow it, he had a few guys in there that I grew up with, all from the neighborhood. As soon as I got in there, all I could hear was that devil laughing. Hey, man, yeah, your boy such and such, he getting ready to get high, he getting ready to fall, this and that. And he was joking and laughing at this guy, and he's facing 50 years. Now, they know this, and they also knew we were going up there ministering to him. And they just thought it was funny because he's getting ready to fall and go back to prison. And mind you, that he did fall, and he did go back to prison. And when I seen that, man, it just overwhelmed me with the way I couldn't believe they were doing that. And you know, when I seen them do that, I said, you know what, y'all, instead of y'all doing that, y'all should be loving on this man. Y'all should be trying to keep him from falling. Just say, hey, man, you know, keep up the good work. We're here for you. But they didn't do that. When I seen that, I looked at them all, man, and I told them, I said, look, y'all never ever see me get high again. Never. Because they weren't my friends. They were my frenemies. They was never my friend. I'm talking about from childhood, and still today, I love them. But hey, it says, come from among them, be ye separate. And you know, don't cast your pearls among swine, because some just don't want, all they want to eat is slop. For real. So, you know, and that's what kept me. So, when I seen that, that's when I started fighting, and I said, look, I'm not never, ever giving into that.